Good morning, everyone. It's Friday, May 18th. I think I screwed up on the date yesterday. Apologize. Today is day 5 of my 30-day video challenge with myself for creating more community around relationships, life, love, and relationships. Oh, I got a hair doing something weird. There we go. Whoops, nope, now it's really doing something weird. Hair problems. Anyway, I thought that I would update everyone. Well, there really isn't a whole lot of an update except for I think I may have solved my computer problems. My partner told me, well, geez, why don't you just take it back to the store? And I was just like, well, yeah, why don't I? So I was looking at the receipt and I looked up their return policy, and I guess I have 30 days to return it. So I'm like right under the 30-day mark. Like this weekend is the 30-day mark. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and try and see what they say. So I have it in the car right now, and I'm going to see if I can just exchange it for one that works. So anyway, I wanted to read a story today about an experience that I had, and it's not very long, but it's kind of a cool story, and it relates with life, love, and relationships because it is basically an ode to solitude, but that's not what it's called. Okay, so this is the story. I'm just going to kind of read it. It's called The Glorious Lessons Found in the Solitude of a Summer Night. Okay? Last summer, I went on a lesbian retreat at a place called Breitenbush, which is about 2.5 hours drive from where I live. The Breitenbush is in Detroit, Oregon, kind of south and west of the Salem area. Okay? I packed up my old truck and away we went. To me, there is little else so spiritual about driving alone across the countryside. The retreat was a Thursday night through a Sunday morning thing. I was working graveyard at the time, so I dropped off my baby Ziggy dog with a friend, and I went to work with my truck all packed. After work, I drove from downtown Portland to the retreat. I got there about noon, so I just camped in the back of the bed I had already made for myself, which was a futon mattress that I had covered with sheets and pillows and this nice comforter, all that I found at Goodwill. I was so happy. And it was like a bed, just like at home. Check-in was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I can't remember exactly now if it was 2 or 3, but soon enough, it was time to check in. After I checked in, I went and parked my truck in a good, shady camping spot. This was in August, so I wanted my truck to stay as cool as possible during the day. I ran around meeting people and helping with setup, being a good little team member, which was good because there were a lot of elderly women there, and I was more able-bodied than a lot of them. Now, Breitenbush is a place that has natural hot springs, which is one of the reasons I wanted to go. Our group had rented out the whole place, so there was no one there to see us bathing naked. Well, there were some male workers, but they always sent the girls up to the area where the hot springs were. They had to come adjust temperature and that kind of thing. Anyway, after a nap, it had cooled down some, and I went and found the hot springs and joined some of the other ladies there in the wonderful hot water. Oh my God, this feels amazing. Mineralized hot water from the ground is the most amazing shit on earth. I can't even tell you what my skin felt like after several days of being there and hanging out in those hot springs. If you've never been to a natural hot spring, you really need to go. By the way, I took all my own food because all they serve up there is vegetarian fare. And vegetarian fare isn't bad in and of itself, but in my personal opinion, the fare up there is kind of inedible for a lot of reasons. And not because they don't have any meat in them. They are very strict about their mess hall, and you can't even bring meat into the mess hall, even if you're using your own dishes. So, anyway. After being in the hot springs for like an hour, I went back to my truck and I took another nap. I had not slept during the earlier nap. I didn't sleep very good because it was people were running around and it was kind of hot and it was real sunny, and I just couldn't sleep very well. I was too excited. Then I got up about 3 or so in the morning and I was bored. Didn't really want to read or anything. I needed to find the showers and go get one before the other campers. I got up. So I took my backpack full of all my shower stuff, and I strapped on a headlamp, and off I went. I decided to go back down to the hot spring, though, because I knew I would be alone. It being the middle of the night, I wondered if I was going to run into anything untoward down there, but I shrugged it off. I carefully picked my path along the trail in the darkness, listening to all the night sounds. It was glorious out there. The hot springs are about half a mile from where I camped, so the whole trek took me a minute. I got down there and quietly set my stuff on a bench. I stripped down. It was a little chilly, as the camp is at about 1,300 feet or so, but it wasn't too bad. I slipped into the hot spring pool I had been in earlier that day and felt the water, warmer than blood, ease up over my body. I found a comfy spot and just watched stars and listened to the murmur of the river down below and of the other night creatures. Occasionally a bat flew past, eager to find his dinner. All was right with the world. I had a lot of things spinning around in my head that evening, and I did a lot of contemplation that night, and realized that I was finally strong enough to move along myself along my path after all of the devastation of the previous months. I also did a lot of crying, scared to move forward, not knowing which road to walk, and finally that I did not have to walk them until I had clear direction. I could just tread water, much as I was doing in the hot spring pool. I do not know if I will ever return to Breitenbush again for the lesbian retreat, but at least in that moment, I knew that I had the world in my hand, and my heart was at last looking forward. So that's all for today, and I will see you once again tomorrow for day 6. Happy Friday.